7 bone-chilling Taco Bell horror stories that will haunt you forever at midnight. The clock struck midnight. That eerie witching hour when shadows lengthen and strange things stir, and Taco Bell sat on the corner, glowing neon against the dark. It felt like a secret haunt, a late-night sanctuary where thrills collided with chills. But what happened beyond those golden arches sent shockwaves through the night. They say, if you listen closely, you can hear their whispers, tales that twist your stomach and freeze your spine. The kind of stories that make you think twice before daring a 2 a.m. drive-thru run. Tonight, everyone in town seems to have stories, strange incidents where laughter turned to screams, where tacos morphed into terror. Like that one tale about the guy who found a note in his burrito, a hastily scribbled message that simply read, "Help me." It was in between layers of beans and rice, and folks swore he went missing the next day. Could it be a sick prank? Or something far more sinister? The thought hung heavy in the damp night air, an almost palpable dread. Then there's the urban legend of the ghostly manager known only as Ramon. People claim he still works the late shift, a shadowy figure darting between the fryers and the drive-thru screen. How can someone manage a shift while their left foot dangles in the realm of the dead? And what about the signature crunch of the tacos? Legend says anyone who indulges past midnight risks awakening that very cursed spirit. It said a smell wafts in the air, a mix of spices and despair, leaving shivers down spines and chills in hearts, and just when you think you've pieced it all together, boom. The drive-thru speaker crackles to life, a voice not of this world, asking for your order in a deadpan tone that chills you to the bone. Would you like a side of doom with that? It taunts. Many claim it's just a glitch. But others insist, as they shivered in their cars with tight chests, that something wicked stirs behind the counter. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect, as we untangle deeper layers of these spine-tingling Taco Bell tales. There's still one chilling mystery that lingers, tantalizing yet terrifying. What's really going on behind the kitchen doors? Why are midnight patrons sometimes left without their orders, only to return home with heavy hearts and restless nights? One thing's for sure, the horror is far from over. As the clock ticked away, drawing closer to the witching hour, the air outside the Taco Bell thickened with a sense of impending doom. Lisa sat in her car, shivering not just from the cold but from the stories she had heard. She was a newcomer in town, just passing through, and her friends back home assured her that she simply had to try the late-night tacos. But as her heart raced, doubt crept in. Was there a reason so many locals avoided this place after dark? With the spooky ambience echoing in her thoughts, she finally rolled down her window. The moment she did, an almost unnatural chill rushed in, transforming her already anxious breath into fog. Hesitant, she leaned towards the drive-thru speaker, feeling an itch of fear that tugged at her throat. "Can I get a Crunchwrap Supreme?" she stuttered. But instead of the typical welcome to Taco Bell, that sinister voice answered back, "Would you like to try our newest item? The Soul Crunch?" Lisa's heart dropped, a lump forming in her throat. What kind of twisted joke was this? She blinked rapidly, seeking some form of humor in the darkness, but the voice persisted, eerily calm. "Don't forget the side of doom," it repeated, a swift shift in tone sending chills racing through her spine. Gathering her courage, Lisa pressed on with her order. The screen flickered with static, but she could have sworn she saw a shadow moving within the kitchen. It was quick, a flash of something that shouldn't be there. Just then, the drive-thru intercom glitched again, and she caught the sound of muffled whimpers emanating from within. A frigid horror washed over her. Was the voice of a captive soul trying to break free? No. It was insane to think such things. But the unease gnawed at her insides like the very tacos she craved. she looked through her rearview mirror and noticed someone standing just beyond the glow of the drive-thru lights. A man, thin and gaunt, with eyes that seemed to absorb light itself. He raised a hand slowly, pointing toward her like he was trying to warn her. Lisa's breath quickened. For a moment, she considered fleeing, the idea of abandoning the drive-thru and returning home more appealing than ever. But the hunger was overwhelming, the scent of seasoned meat wafting abundantly through the window, almost hypnotizing her. Feeling trapped, she grabbed the steering wheel tight, her fingers trembling. "Just get the food and leave, Lisa," she muttered to herself. As she pulled up to the window, the eerie laughter echoed from inside. The old lady cashier, her face half concealed by darkness, peered through the bars with an unsettling smile. "We've got something special for you," she croaked, slipping a greasy bag out toward her. At that moment, Lisa noticed something strange resting on the ground behind the cashier. A foot, just a foot. A chill crawled up her spine, leaving her shaking uncontrollably. Adrenaline kicked in, her instinct screaming at her to go, go, go. But before she could hit the gas, that haunting voice erupted again from the speaker. "You have to eat it before it eats you." Suddenly, the power went out, the lights flickering into darkness. Heart hammering, Lisa could barely process the chaos unfolding around her. The sound of scraping nails against metal reached her ears, echoing in the eerie silence. "Drive! Drive!" Her mind screamed, but something kept her glued to the spot. The anxiety tightened its grip. What had she unlocked? And what would happen if she never left? As darkness engulfed the Taco Bell, one question lingered: was this just a simple late-night order gone wrong, or had she awakened something that should have remained buried? With her pulse racing and temp plunging into icy doubt, she made her decision, but it was already too late. Tension hung thick in the air as she wiped sweat off her brow. What was waiting for her beyond the darkness? Would she ever even be able to drive away? The silence smothered Lisa, wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket. Panic surged as the power outage swallowed the drive-thru in darkness, but her eyes struggled to adjust, searching for any sign of movement. Every shadow stretched ominously, and the air thickened with the scent of old cooking oil mixed with something sweeter yet sickeningly foul. Just a moment, the old cashier's voice slithered through the dark, too close for comfort. Lisa's heart raced louder than her thoughts. She felt like a rabbit caught in the predator's gaze. Should she scream? Fight? Flee? "Your order," the voice continued, tainted with a mocking sweetness. "It's coming." The lights flickered back to life, but not before a figure slipped behind the cashier, a glimpse of pale skin and unearthly eyes that glowed in the flicker. The old lady chuckled, revealing yellowing teeth that unnervingly contrasted with her darkened face. Before Lisa could deliberate her escape, the window slid open with an ominous creak, as if it had been forced for the first time in ages. In the light, the cashier's gaze was eagerly fixated on her. "Take it, dear. The soul crunch awaits." The bag she held appeared to pulsate, as if alive, twisting and squirming within her view. No thanks before it eats you." The old woman's voice rose, turning frantic, a desperate plea that echoed around her. Rushed by adrenaline, Lisa slammed the gear into reverse. Her trembling foot pressed the accelerator, but the car didn't move. It felt like quicksand, an anchor shackling her to that cursed spot. The old lady's laughter turned into something unhinged, like nails screeching on a chalkboard, and something deep inside Lisa screamed for her to flee. The gaunt man by the light flickered back into her view. He moved closer, still pointing, his long fingers quivering with urgency. "Drive!" he mouthed, his voice lost in the chaos, but she could feel his desperation. The shadows danced around her like the whispers of darkness. A sudden crash from inside the kitchen made her jump. She spun around, searching for the source, while an icy dread coiled in her gut. Red lights began flashing intermittently, illuminating faces she hadn't noticed before. At least 5 figures stood behind the cashier, all gaunt and skeletal, haunting shadows with sunken eyes. One took a reluctant step forward, revealing skin marred with blotches that seemed to pulse with life, just like the bag of tacos. "It must be fed," a girl muttered, twirling her long hair nervously. "Or it will feed on you." Caught between absurdity and sheer terror, Lisa felt her reality bend. Her heart pounded a heavy beat against her ribs. She squeezed her eyes shut, willing this nightmarish vignette to dissolve like morning mist. When she opened them, the figures still loomed, the laughter grew deeper, filling her with the urge to scream. The old woman was still there, her eyes unblinking, waiting poised. "Take it, only you can sate its hunger, no," Lisa shouted, finally able to lift her foot from that heavy, supernatural anchor, propelling her foot to slam the accelerator down again. The engine roared to life as if in rebellion against the darkness. But the moment felt weightless, time suspended until she felt a grip on her shoulder. Cold and clammy. "Leave now," it whispered softly, the breath icy like a dead wind. Thrashing away, she finally slung her door open. But the world outside was cloaked in shadows, and every instinct told her to stay locked in her car and escape into an unknown peril. But she could never be sure what lurked behind her in the darkness. Would the figures only watch, or had she already made the fatal mistake of awakening their hunger? And in that moment, she realized the soul crunch was not a taco at all. What physical price would she pay for her insatiable hunger? As the whispers swirled around her, one chilling thought seeped into her mind: was she brave enough to confront what lay behind her, or was there no turning back? What terror hid just behind the veil of those flickering headlights? Her heart thundered in her chest as she stepped into the night, uncertainty stretching before her like the black void of an abyss. The air outside was thick with dread, as if the darkness had weight. She took a shallow breath, her mind racing. Could she trust the chilled breath that had warned her to flee? The old woman's laughter echoed in her ears, swirling like a sinister melody. Behind her, the dim light flickered, a last taunting reminder of the terror she was trying to escape. The figures stood frozen in the drive-thru, their eyes glistening with an unnatural hunger. Lisa turned, darting her gaze down the empty road, each shadow morphing into a lurking threat. Then, she saw it, the pulsating bag that the cashier had thrust toward her. It throbbed with a life of its own, and she could almost hear it calling out to her, a cruel song promising satisfaction. "It must be fed," the girl's mutter echoed like an incantation. The thought made her stomach churn. Could that bag, that grotesque offering, be linked to the malevolent spirits waiting in the dark? "Think, Lisa. You can't let it get you," she hissed to herself, her breath quickening. She had come here for the convenience of fast food, not to become a meal in some twisted game of horror. But as she peered into the void, a sense of resolve hardened her. She swiftly glanced around, seeking anything that could offer an escape, any glimmer of hope amidst this nightmare. Her eyes landed on a flickering street lamp up the road. If she could just make it there. The dead weight of the shadows pressed upon her as she began to move, each step feeling like it could summon the chaos back to life. The whispers rose behind her, a collective sigh of disappointment or encouragement she couldn't tell. Was she being followed? "Run!" A voice erupted from the murky shadows. A head popped into view, a familiar figure. It was the gaunt man from earlier, but now his eyes were wild, urging her with frantic energy. "Drive! They'll come for you!" he cried, and with that, his form dissolved back into darkness, merging with the shifting shapes of the figures behind him. Lisa stumbled backward, a fresh wave of panic crashing over her. She felt like prey, cornered and desperate. "No!" she gasped, clutching at her throat. Her instincts screamed at her to push forward, to escape the grip of whatever they represented. As she pivoted away from the shadows, a roar erupted from the drive-thru, boiling over into a demonic chorus. "Feed us! Feed us!" they chanted, their voices twisted and unrelenting. Time slipped like sand through her fingers. She sprinted, her lungs burning, her legs pumping like pistons. When she reached the flickering street lamp, she hesitated. Gripped by anxiety, she turned back. The figures remained there, their faces shifting, pulsating like the bag, twisted without form. What do you want from me? She screamed, anchoring herself to the light, the power within it drawing her closer to the truth. Was this hunger theirs alone, or did it mirror something within her? But the whispering began anew, a snake's hiss carried by the wind. Only you can sate its hunger. Something pulled at her heart, a dark curiosity that clawed at her mind, demanding attention. Questions erupted like fireworks in her head. What darkness lurked within, and could she confront it without succumbing? Suddenly, the lights dimmed, shadows creeping closer as if inhaling the light. Lisa felt the ground tremble beneath her feet, reverberating with the pulse of the bag. She could taste dread in the air, thick and metallic. And then came the realization, the night wasn't just hungry, it was alive. As they began to multiply around her, an unsettling silence followed each desperate beat of her heart, and she wondered fleetingly if the hunger was hers after all. Will you feed it? The voices murmured, growing louder and more insistent. Caught between fight and flight, Lisa's mind raced, all too aware of the choice before her. But what if the real terror lay not in the shadows, but in the reflection of her own desires? What lay beyond the flickering light, and would she dare to find out? The shadows thickened, swirling around her like a sinister fog, heavy with anticipation. Lisa fought to catch her breath, disbelief coursing through her. She scanned the faces of the figures, distorted and writhing, not just hungry, but alive with something deeper. Was it her imagination, or did they seem familiar? We see you. A voice called out, strong and melodic, cutting through the tension like a knife. A woman stepped forward from the throng, her eyes gleaming with an unnatural light. You're not like them, you're one of us now. Lisa's heart raced even faster. What? Who are you? What do you mean? The woman smiled, a chilling curve of her lips that seemed to hide sharp edges. You felt it, haven't you? The hunger. It calls to you, it reveals who you truly are. Stop. You're wrong. Lisa shouted, desperate to hold on to her sanity. She pushed past the growing fear, desperate for answers. I'm not yet, the woman interrupted, her voice a silky whisper that slid into Lisa's mind. But soon. You must embrace it. Feed it before it consumes you whole. Just then, another wave of whispers rose like a creeping tide, rising, falling, cascading in a disordered symphony. Join us. Feed us. She shuddered, staring at the grotesque bag in her hands, feeling the pulse of its dark magic. Might it contain the secret to her survival? Was she willing to delve into these murky depths to save herself, or worse, to understand the hunger they were speaking of? The night grew colder, a bitter chill seeping into her bones. Her instincts screamed for her to turn away, to reject this new reality. But the haunting call resonated within her, a melody stalking her thoughts, lingering at the edges of her reason. Embrace your fate. The twisted chorus taunted, echoing her internal chaos. She could feel the thrum of the bag against her palm, urging her to take the chance. Think, Lisa. You need to get out of here. She reminded herself, forcing back the tightening grip of dread. But in a moment of clarity, something clicked. Perhaps the answer lay within her, like a monster sleeping just beneath the surface. Her gaze darted back to the figures, and she saw glimpses of faces, friends she had lost, each trapped in this nightmare and hungry for release. Is this my future? She whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. The woman stepped closer, her face now a reflection of Lisa's memories. You can choose. Who do you want to be? A part of the hunger, or free? Each word felt like daggers piercing her heart. She could almost see the chains binding those lost souls to the night, a part of this dark collective. Freedom or surrender? The choice tugged at her heart, heavy and relentless. In that moment, with shadows closing in around her, Lisa grasped the bag tightly as if it could give her the strength to decide. The boundary between dark and light, freedom and chains, began to blur. Will you join us? The woman asked, her voice a velvet shroud, slowly encasing Lisa's thoughts in temptation. In the wake of that ensuing quiet, as the figures dipped further into the darkness, the flickering street lamp began to fade, and Lisa felt time collapse down around her. She understood desperation and dread wrapped tightly in the fabric of her reality. As the last glimmers of light flickered and dissolved, she finally acknowledged her fears. What if the true horror wasn't just the night? What if it was the truth that lurked within her own unraveling soul? With a flicker of defiance burning within her, she made a decision. No. I want to be part of this. But as she turned to flee, the shadows thickened around her, merging into something powerful, hungry, and unyielding. They advanced, a tide of whispers screaming in harmony, there's no escape. Her heart raced, pounding in tune with the darkness closing in. The haunting refrain echoed endlessly, filling her with dread. Would she face the monstrous truth within, or would she also become a whisper in the dark? The ground shook beneath her feet, the shadows swirling tighter as a new voice broke through the chaos, a familiar tone laced with agony. Lisa, help me. Please. Flicker of hope or the final invocation of doom? The choice lay bare. Would she answer the call? Or would the night engulf her completely? The darkness pressed in like a vice around Lisa as she spun towards the sound of that desperate cry. Her pulse quickened. It felt like an anchor pulling her down into the abyss, but she couldn't just ignore it. Her friend, was it really them? Who is there? She shouted, her voice trembling against the growing cacophony of whispers. They shifted around her, an orchestra of uncertainty that vibrated through the shadows. Lisa. The voice cracked again. It was closer now, tinged with anguish. It sounded like Jenna, the one person who might guide her through the murky waters of this nightmare. I need you. For a split second, it was as if the shadows hesitated, recoiling slightly, giving her a glimmer of an escape route. Lisa's heart was pounding in her ears, drowning out the terrifying sounds surrounding her. Over here. Jenna's voice beckoned, now more frantic. Lisa bolted forward, pushed by a fierce blend of fear and longing. As she ran, the shadows lunged after her, clawing at her feet, attempting to ensnare her in their clutches. Every step felt like pulling sand beneath her, suffocating and heavy, but she pressed on, driven by the hope that Jenna was indeed there, trapped with her and seeking rescue. In the dim light, Lisa's eyes adjusted as she reached a thinning patch of darkness. There, crouched against a wall, sat Jenna, her face pale and drawn, shimmering with tears that reflected the fading light. Help me. Please. Lisa rushed to her and knelt down. What happened? How did you? I don't know. I couldn't find you. It just Jenna's voice broke off as she glanced behind Lisa, the fear etched across her face silencing her. Don't look. Just focus on me. Lisa pleaded, looking back at the writhing void approaching them. The whispers surged louder, echoing around in a maddening crescendo, urging, taunting, and beckoning them to join. Where's the bag? Jenna asked, her eyes darting wildly. You have to use it. The bag? Lisa stammered. Yes. It holds power. It's the key. The bag, she still clutched it tightly, the pulse of its dark magic thrumming in her grasp. Reluctantly, she opened it. Shadows spilled out as if the depths of the dark contents were alive, swirling around her fingers. What if it's not enough? Lisa feared, feeling the weight of uncertainty. Trust it. We need any advantage we can get. Jenna screamed, her voice laced with urgency. Suddenly, the shadows recoiled as if sensing the power thrumming within the bag. Lisa could feel the weight of choice pressing down, and the urge to pass the bag to Jenna rose within her. She held it out. Here. If it's our only chance, but Jenna shook her head. You have to be the one. It's calling to you. Only you. A wave of dread washed over Lisa. What if I give in to it? What if I become like them? Then you must fight it. Jenna shouted, her voice fierce and unyielding. This is our chance to break free. Don't let it consume you. Lisa hesitated, watching the shadows shift more violently, the deafening chants intensifying. She locked eyes with Jenna, seeing the fear reflected back at her. She knew that they were both teetering on the edge of a dark abyss. "Join us." The shadows hissed again, urging her to plunge into the depths of despair. Determined, Lisa gripped the bag harder, her knuckles white. "I can't let go," she whispered, "but I can't stay, either." The shadows surged, and Lisa could feel the heat rising from the bag. It was time to unleash whatever it held. She just had to believe in herself, believe in the power, and in Jenna. With one final glance at her friend, she shouted, "Together!" and ripped open the bag, releasing its dark secrets under a world consumed by night. A blinding light erupted from within, illuminating the shadows, and for a brief moment, everything froze. Then screams filled the air, and the ground shook beneath them with renewed fury. What would be unleashed? As the chaos erupted, the shadows reeled, howling in rage, as Lisa and Jenna stood at the precipice of a choice that would alter their fate forever. But in the tempest of light and darkness, a new voice cried out, one that sent shivers down Lisa's spine. "You shouldn't have done that." Was this a new threat, or was it a savior? Did they just unleash salvation or doom? The shadows coiled back, the laughter grew, and an even darker tension hung heavy in the air. What would happen now? The blinding light pulsated, sending shards of illumination piercing through the darkest corners, yet the echoes of chaos roared around Lisa and Jenna. They were caught in a storm whose center they could barely comprehend. The shadows writhed like serpents, their forms twisting and changing, a mixture of contempt and fury radiating from them. "Get back!" Lisa yelled, wrenching Jenna closer to her side. The power of the bag was more potent than she could have imagined, but it came with a price. The shadows recoiled only briefly before lunging angrily, their whispers turning into guttural growls that scraped against her sanity. "Do something!" Jenna cried out, her eyes wide with terror. The light from the bag seemed to be draining, flickering like a dying bulb. "I'm trying," Lisa replied, desperation clenching her throat. She focused on the energy swirling from the bag, willing it to become something more than just light. "Please! Help us!" she shouted, and the words echoed out, swallowed by the clamor around them. As if in response, a chilling silence fell save for the heavy pounding of Lisa's heart. The shadows hesitated again, and she could feel them assessing, calculating the newfound force that they now faced. "Together, Lisa! We can do this!" Jenna urged, her voice igniting a flicker of resolve within Lisa. Summoning every ounce of strength, Lisa concentrated her thoughts, allowing the light to take shape. It began to morph into tendrils, weaving through the air like silk, striking out at the encroaching darkness. She dared to believe they were more than mere shadows now, they were her fear personified, and she was ready to confront them. "Take that!" she shouted, launching the tendrils towards the grinning forms that loomed before them. A few of them connected, fiercely illuminating the engulfing dark. The shadows hissed and recoiled, but more came, slithering and crawling forward with insatiable hunger. "Lisa!" Jenna's voice sharpened. "It's not enough. They're still coming." Just then, the voice that had cut through the chaos earlier returned, sharper, louder. "You shouldn't have done that," it declared, reverberating through the darkened space. The shadows parted as something or someone was emerging, cloaked in darkness yet radiating an almost magnetic light. "Who are you?" Lisa demanded, her voice booming as she held the bag like a shield. "Oh, I'm just a guide or perhaps a harbinger." "It's truly a matter of perspective," the figure sneered, producing an unsettling grin that didn't quite reach its eyes. "But you, young ones, you've stirred a hornet's nest. This is where the fun begins." Jenna shivered beside Lisa, the hairs on the back of her neck standing up. "What do you mean?" she quivered. "Every action has its consequence, my sweet. You desired to escape the shadows, and yet you've invited their wrath. A dark bargain has been struck." The figure twirled gracefully, its cloak flowing like smoke. "And now, the hunt is on. But do you even know what you've unleashed? The shadows, emboldened by their master's presence, surged forward, grasping at the air with more ferocity than ever. The bag's light flickered feebly in the face of overwhelming darkness. Fight! Lisa shouted, finding a spark of courage deep within. Don't let them take us. Jenna gripped her arm, fear and determination mingling in her eyes. They needed a plan, and fast. The figure, almost gleeful, stepped back, watching with mocking interest as the swarm of shadows threatened to engulf them. Will you rise to the challenge, or succumb to the fate you've just conjured? It taunted. Lisa locked eyes with Jenna, their hearts racing in unison. They would have to do the unthinkable, but how? The air felt thick and electric with uncertainty, and for a heartbeat, everything hung in balance. Just then, a flicker of memory surfaced in Lisa's mind, the chant they had stumbled upon. Could it still work? The shadows were fierce, but they hadn't reacted to words. Could words be their weapon? On my count, Lisa whispered, her mind racing as the darkness closed in. We'll try the chant together. Jenna nodded, fear morphing into determination. The figure watched them, interest glinting in its dark gaze. 3-2 as the shadows lunged, hungry and wild, Lisa and Jenna shouted in unison. 1. Now. But as the chant escaped their lips, a horrible realization pierced through the chaos. Their words didn't lift the shadows, they amplified them, strengthening the dark, bringing forth something even more terrifying. What had they awakened? The laughter of the figure rang out, echoing through the shadowy maelstrom as the shadows transformed, and in that impending doom, the weight of dread settled around them like a shroud. What dark secret would the figure reveal? And could Lisa and Jenna find a way to turn the tides before it was too late? The shadows began to convulse, morphing into monstrous shapes, more tangible, more menacing than before. Lisa's heart pounded in her chest, the fear spreading like fire beneath her skin. A chilling wind swept through the chamber, carrying the stench of decay and despair. Jenna's grip around her arm tightened, her wide eyes shimmering with unshed tears. What's happening? What did we do? Jenna's voice trembled, her panic palpable. Lisa could barely breathe, her mind racing. I don't know. We thought we could stop them. The figures surged forward, contorting into jaws of pitch black, eager to devour their light. Look! Jenna pointed. The shadows were shifting, forming what appeared to be faces twisted in agony, full of regret and wrath. Fear surged through Lisa, but she pushed it back. She had to think. Then she remembered the old tales, the stories told late at night, whispered in fear. We need to face the darkness. We can't let them take control. She shouted, drawing from the depths of her courage. A flicker ignited in the bag, sparking hope. The light surged momentarily, casting the faces into stark relief, twisted and sad. Then the figure spoke again, its tone almost bemused. Do you not understand? You cannot face what you have invited. The shadows have grown strong, they are your doubts, your fears. You cannot fight them simply by wishing them away. Shut up! Lisa screamed back, her defiance igniting a fire within. We made a mistake, yes, but we can still fix this. Fix this? The figure laughed, a cruel ringing sound. Once unleashed, the shadows will consume everything. You may only prolong the inevitable. The darkness lunged again, a black tide ready to crash against their fragility. Lisa felt a knot tightening in her stomach. What were those faces? Who are they? The figure shrugged, a mere flicker of shadows replacing its features. Lost souls, unwitting pawns like yourselves. They cried out, but no one listened. Jenna's breath hitched, a soft sob escaping her lips. Are they trapped? Just like we are. Lisa shook her head, fear warping into determination. We have to do something. We can't leave them, Jenna. We can't let the darkness win. Then we need to find the chant, something more powerful, Jenna responded fiercely. Something that can send them back. As another wave of shadows surged forward, Lisa felt the warmth from the bag flaring. It flickered belligerently, like a candle in a storm. What if we connect our memories? She muttered, inspiration striking. The good ones, the light. Right. Jenna exclaimed, her voice rising in excitement amid the chaos. They can't take those from us. Let us summon them. As the shadows closed in, Lisa shouted over the chaos, think of the best moment of your life. The light. The joy. They both clasped the bag tight, channeling the memories. Jenna's laughter at a birthday party, Lisa's first glimpse of the ocean, a wave of warmth, like sunlight through fog. In that moment, the shadows paused, almost curiously. The air trembled with potential and electricity as the memories highlighted their hearts. Now! Lisa yelled, unleashing their powerful bond, their light infused with emotion. We are stronger than you. The shadows shuddered and hissed, the faces twisting in a grotesque mask of terror and rage. One by one, they began to splinter, fragments breaking away as the light grew more powerful, but despite their efforts, the figure's laughter echoed in the distance, deeper, more sinister. You can try, but the darkness is relentless. It seeks to reclaim what is lost, and you may only find yourself trapped in a cycle of pain and fear. The shadows reformed, larger and angrier, mirroring their fear as tendrils lashed out, connecting with Jenna's and Lisa's memories. Hold on! Lisa screamed, clutching the bag and summoning every ounce of their light, but the shadows pulsed with rage. They were overpowered, drowning in despair and desperation. When hope began to dim, Jenna shouted, what if we're not just fighting for ourselves? The memories surged, friends, family, loved ones all connected to them in ways they'd never considered. What if they weren't just fighting for their own escape? With renewed focus, they turned their fight outward, amplifying their memories for the world beyond the shadows. The figure watched them, eyes glinting with something unrecognizable. You think you can save them? Good luck, dear ones. With every ounce of strength they had, Lisa and Jenna poured their hearts out. They couldn't just be vessels of light, they had to become catalysts, shining for all who'd been lost. As whispers surrounded them, urging them to let go, to trust one another. Could their love pierce through shadows that felt so deep? Would the memories really save them, or had they awakened something even darker? The shadows wrapped tighter as screams echoed around them, yet they held on. They had to push back, but how far would they have to go to reclaim the light? The shadows pulsated and roared, each scream altering the pitch of despair that hung thick in the air. Lisa's breath came fast, her lungs battling against the oppressive weight of darkness that seemed to cling to her like a cocoon. Jenna stood firm beside her, their hands clasped tight around the bag, energy swirling like a hurricane between them. Think of them. Think of the joy and love we carry. Lisa shouted, her voice strained but insistent. They had to amplify it, make it resound beyond their little realm of panic. Suddenly, a new face formed in the mass of shadows, one they both recognized. It was Mrs. Walsh, their sweet neighbor who always handed out cookies on Halloween. Her eyes were wide with terror, mouth moving soundlessly, a silent scream for help. No! Jenna yelled, tears streaming down her cheeks. We can't let them take her. In that moment, the memory hit Lisa like a bolt of light. The party at Mrs. Walsh's. Remember the laughter? The smell of fresh cookies? That joy is what we need. With a shared thought, they closed their eyes, diving deep into the warmth of that snapshot in time. Laughter echoed in their minds, children running and playing, the glow of fairy lights shimmering against the darkness. They were infused with that light, allowing it to pulse through them like a beacon. Now. Focus. Lisa urged. It felt like they were harnessing a storm, swirling brightness clashing with the depths of despair. As they released the memory, the shadows recoiled as if scalded. The faces twisted again, but this time in confusion. Jenna began to chant softly the ancient words they had memorized, filled with power and hope. Light and love, darkness begone. Return to shadows, where you belong. The figure, once so confident, displayed a flicker of uncertainty. You think this will work? You are merely children playing with forces too great. Force us to quit? Never. Jenna replied fiercely, her strength growing with every word. The air thickened with impending change, shadows swirling violently as if fighting against a terrible storm, the energy surged, the shadows shuddering against the light they couldn't suppress. Then came the crack. Small fissures appeared in the dark mass, light spilling through like the dawn breaking after the longest night. Do you see? Lisa shouted, exhilaration bursting through her veins. We can break free. It's working. But in that very moment, everything shifted. The shadows warred against their light, reshaping into a towering figure more grotesque than before, a nightmare made flesh. Eyes like black pits fixed on them, a chilling grin spreading across its face. You think the light you summon can vanquish me? I am the echoes of your fears, the memories you wish to forget. Panic clawed at Lisa's stomach. We can do this. We have each other. But doubt seeped in, crawling like vines. What if this creature wasn't just a consequence of their fear, but a reflection of the darkness they harbored inside themselves? As they chanted louder, shadows lunged, slicing through the light, grabbing at their arms like 1,000 tiny claws. No! Jenna screamed, fighting against their grasp. We can't let it win. Within that primal struggle, Lisa felt something shift inside her. A revelation, raw and undeniable. What if we turn it in? Channel that fear into the light. Suddenly, she began to visualize all her doubts and regrets, everything she had ever feared, rolled into one incandescent ball of energy. Convert it. Use it. With the weight of their pasts behind them, they pushed it outward, blending shadows with light. As they did, an eruption tore through the darkness, blinding them with brightness. But could they truly reshape the darkness without getting burned themselves? Searing pain shot through her arms, and just as Lisa thought they had achieved and held on to that sliver of hope, a deafening roar drowned out their chant. The shadows roared louder, shrill and inhuman, sensing the shift. What are you doing? You can't control me. With that defiance hanging in the air, a sense of dread washed over them. What if they were unleashing something even darker, by tangling together their fear and sorrow? As the figure loomed closer, the realization struck like thunder. Jenna! Are we doing the right thing? The answer was lost amid the chaos, and their grip on light faltered just as everything around them began to shatter, and then, in the din of battle, a cry echoed, a voice they hadn't recognized, resonating deep in the heart of darkness. Whose voice was that? In the next moment, things blurred, and they were left wondering, would they conquer the shadows or succumb to the unending abyss? Fighting against the cascade of fear, they had to find out, but at what cost? In a brilliant flash of light, the shadows shrieked and twisted, revealing fragments of their true forms, faces they recognized, souls they once knew. Lisa squinted against the blinding illumination, recognizing her childhood friend Sarah, trapped in eternal despair. Sarah! She cried, terror clawing at her voice. The agony in Sarah's eyes hit like a fist to the gut. Help us! Sarah's voice, once filled with laughter, now trembled with a heaviness that sent chills running up Lisa's spine. You have to get out of here, before it's too late. The realization washed over her, binding her heart tighter. These weren't just faceless shadows, they were people, lost in a cycle of anguish. Jenna squeezed Lisa's hand, grounding her as chaos loomed. We can't let fear dictate our actions, she urged, voice unwavering. Think of them, their hope. They are lost, but they don't have to be. The towering figure, a twisted mockery of everything they feared, flared with rage. Do you think you can save them? You'll only bind yourselves to this darkness. It roared, shadowy tendrils gnashing at their faces, seeking to pull them under. Drawing in a deep breath, Lisa steadied herself. The whispers echoed, a chaotic symphony of despair calling them to surrender. But amidst it all, a flicker of courage ignited within her. No. We're not afraid of you. She shouted, her voice cutting through the tempest. Together, they let the memories flow, a warm summer's day, laughter around a campfire, the promise of friendship. With each cherished thought, rays of light exploded outward, colliding with the shadows. The darkness trembled, howls of dismay creeping through the air. In that moment, Lisa and Jenna locked eyes, a silent agreement passing between them. It was more than just their own memories, it was the collective spark of all that was bright and good. Memories of Sarah filled the air, her silly jokes, the way she'd light up a room. The shadows twisted, becoming less ominous, revealing flickers of their former selves, almost human. Together. Jenna cried, her voice hardening with immense strength. Let us show them the power of our bond. As if that call had charged the air, Lisa unleashed the contents of the bag, spilling light and warmth into the night, merging their hearts and hopes, weaving them together. We are stronger together. They shouted, their voices melding into a single, unwavering force. The shadows writhed and twisted, engulfed by the light expanding from the bag, teetering on the edge of collapse. The once mocking figure seemed to waver, uncertainty filling its eyes. Lisa felt a rush of energy flowing, a surge of purpose igniting the air around them. In that final surge, the monstrous form cracked, splitting into fragments that dissipated like smoke. The faces they had seen twisted in agony began transforming. Realization washed over them like a flood. The darkness was unraveling, their true selves fighting to resurface. Thank you, Lisa, thank you, Jenna. Sarah's voice echoed stronger now, filled with hope. You're breaking the cycle. You'll be free. As bonds shattered and souls began to rise, Lisa could see the joy returning to the faces, the sweetness returning to their laughs. Each face transformed brighter, illuminating the space with pure, radiant love. But just when victory felt secure, a fetid wind swept through, a last-ditch effort from the shadows, rallying one final push. You think you can escape me? I am the darkness, and darkness never fades. It bellowed, a force trembling the ground beneath them. No. We won't falter. Lisa countered, squaring her shoulders as a rush of energy from all those around them surged into her hands. She threaded it with memories, crafting it into a pure thread of light that gleamed against the blackness, glowing like the morning sun breaking through the night. They were the fighters, the light-bearers, not just for themselves, but for everyone lost to shadows. With a deep breath, she cried out. Light, strength, and love. Return to where you belong. The light erupted, filling every corner, every dark space. Driving the shadows back, making them scream in horror as they evaporated into nothingness. The power of their unity shattered the final vestiges of darkness, sending echoes of laughter into the night. The chaos dissipated, and as the dust settled, Lisa and Jenna found themselves standing in a clearing, surrounded by soft moonlight. Their breaths came fast, mixing exhaustion with exhilaration. The chilling weight of the shadows was gone, and the presence of the haunting figures had vanished, replaced with a warm breeze that spoke of freedom. As they embraced, tears of relief streamed down their cheeks. We did it, Jenna. We saved them. Lisa breathed, heart swelling. Not just them, Lisa. We saved us, Jenna replied, her voice rich with emotion. They turned back, and before them appeared the people they had rescued, smiling, free to roam once more. The shadows had been vanquished, but the lessons they learned echoed in the night. The hunger for darkness would always seek those unknowing, however, each flame of hope would carry them forward. They were not just witnesses in a tale, it was their fight, their share of light breaking through once more. As the moonlight stretched across their path ahead, they realized that this wasn't an end but a fresh beginning, and as the dawn broke, Lisa and Jenna stepped forward, strong and fearless, ready to embrace whatever came next. Now, we turn to you, brave souls. This is your moment to stand with us. Don't delay, subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to show your support and feed the algorithm so we can keep bringing you these heart-pounding tales. Tell us in the comments what you thought of this wild conclusion. Share your reactions, theories, and experiences. Your words make all the difference, but remember, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this conclusion. True fans know the importance of supporting the channel. It's time to shine your light. Join us.